Hello and welcome to episode 103 of the HamCorp Training Manual. In this episode, we finish grade 6 water, along with the 5th and final beam length. We also craft our first QPICs and cosmic neutronium. Now, the way this works is, while the cycle is running, at a random time, every 3 to 15 seconds, in a random interval, rather, the machine will request a change of lenses. Every time you successfully change the lens, your success chance is boosted by 10%. If you remove a lens too early, so before a change is requested, you will fail the recipe. The order in which lenses are requested is always the same, and I believe it always asks for all 9 lenses in a cycle. So it starts at a random. By the way, you can't change these lenses to other equivalent colors. So a dilithium lens is a white lens, but you have to use dilithium. You can't use diamond, you can't use ordo, for example. So we start at a random, then amber, then air, then emerald, then mana diamond, then blue topaz, then amethyst, then fluor burgerite, and then finally dilithium. Of course, I don't have access to dilithium, so I won't be able to make this final lens swap. I have every other one, so at most I'm going to get an 80% chance of success. Once I get dilithium, that goes up to 90. It is not possible to get 100% success chance, unless you do the feeding the output back into the input stuff, but I think that's too much effort for me. I'm okay with the 90%. So how do we know when a lens swap is requested? That is the purpose of this hatch, the lens indicator hatch. This emits a redstone signal when a lens swap is requested. So what I need to do is, I have all my lenses here and I'm using a pork chop in place of the dilithium lens. I suppose this could be anything. Let me actually see if it goes in. It does. Okay, so this could be anything. It basically is going to be used to be able to complete the cycle. And by the way, if you forget the order of the cycle, it's basically the colors of the rainbow. I think automating this is actually going to be quite simple. So I need to have some way to loop these lenses around, and every time a redstone signal is emitted, we loop it once. So we take out the hatch that's currently in the housing, and then we put in the next hatch. I think that should be pretty easy. I think I already know how I'm going to do this. I'll be right back. All right, here is my solution. It's just a bunch of tiny chests going in a circle. The only issue is, when I was testing, it kind of broke because of the pork chop, so I replaced it with a diamond lens. The diamond lens is not a valid lens, but it is a lens, so I'm hoping that deals with the issue. But okay, hold on, let me actually explain the logic, and then let's try to test it out again. So, like I said before, the way it works is randomly, this signal will turn on. And when it turns on, we need to swap the lens. And like I said before, the lens swap happens in a predetermined order. And I've tried to color code these conduits just for my own sake, to keep things in the correct locations when I'm troubleshooting. But basically, we start with the Arundum lens inside. To the left here is the amber lens, and then the yellow one, and then the green one, and then the mana diamond, and then the blue, and then the pink, and then the black, and then the white. This is where the dilithium lens would go if I had one, but I'm using a diamond lens instead. Up here is an empty buffer. This is needed because if I start the loop, but there's nowhere for this lens to be extracted to, nothing is going to happen. So there needs to be kind of a one space buffer. So all of these conduits are always pulling, but because these chests are filled, nothing happens. All of them are pulling except for this one. This bottom one is active with signal. So what happens is the signal turns on, that triggers the pull of the lens. So the lens gets pulled into this chest, and then automatically pulled into this chest when there is space. So we pull it up, and then this gets pulled, and then this gets pulled, and then this gets pulled, and so on around the loop until this gets freed up again. It doesn't really matter how long it takes, as long as I can do 8 swaps in 2 minutes. So I think this is going to work now. Let me try it. So let's see. Right now, the currently requested lens is Arundum. Soon this should turn on like that. And now the amber lens has gone in. The Arundum lens was pulled up and has now been moved in here. Now this is going to turn on again, like that. And now it's green. But maybe it should have been yellow, no? Nope, green indeed. This is correct. Okay, I think a swap must have happened when I wasn't looking. Here's another swap. Now it's the mana diamond. Yeah, so this is... I think this is working. The only thing I want to check for is that it ends on the Arundum lens again for the next cycle. It didn't end. Okay, that's a bit of a problem. It's just constantly cycling through the lenses. Let me see if I can figure out a way to solve that. Actually, wait. Does it even matter? As long as it's constantly looping? I mean, or rather, as long as it doesn't pull when the correct one is here. If the wrong one is here and it keeps pulling, I think that's fine, actually, isn't it? So I could use my pork chop. Yeah, and then the Arunda comes in. Okay, actually, I don't think I need to fix anything. I think this is fine. It's just at the start of every cycle, it's going to be a little weird, and it's going to keep cycling until the Arundum one goes in. But after that point, I think it works pretty flawlessly. Okay, I don't need to fix anything. Cool. Grade 6 water. Very nice. Now that the water line is done, I think I would like to make the 5th and final beam line. But while I do that, I am going to make americium doped wafers. I can do this now. Well, I could have made the boules already. It just needs americium ingots. And to cut them, I need at least grade 5 water. Grade 5 or grade 6. Interestingly, grades 7 and 8 cannot be used for this, so I do need to keep this. I will be making americium doped wafers because this is an upgrade, so I will get more wafers out of this. Even more than the absurd amount I already make. And if I manage to make the 5th beamline, which I think I will be able to make QPIC wafers in them. And that will allow me to make the Mark III fusion reactor. In the meantime, just for the sake of the quest, I may as well blast some cosmic neutronium. I mentioned a few episodes ago that normally the way you do this is you get the nuggets, or rather you get the piles from black plutonium. But I just get the ores from meteors now, so I don't need to do this method. I can just straight up blast the ore, and it's nothing special, it's just a blast, and then you cool it, and you get the ingots. After that, well, I think it's time for some fun. I finished the last beamline, and once again, I am out of europium, I'm out of lead, I'm out of molybdenum, and my ore processing is still way too slow. I really need to upgrade this soon as possible. I'm currently waiting for my americium to cook, and then also to cut. And I've also queued up my neutronium. After that, I need to go back through all of these recipes and update them from europium doped to americium doped. The most painful part of that is I also have the number of long lanthanum hexaboride rods encoded, so I have to recalculate how long it's going to take and update that number. But anyway, look at this graph. This is our profit versus time. Sadly, it is not exponential. It's some weird like cubic function. I don't know what it is, because it doesn't grow monotonically. It actually, the rate of growth decreases between here and here. So it's technically, it's not exponential. But we will rectify that by making sure our real profits are exponential. Starting with this. Alright, all of the recipes have been updated to use americium now. It's crazy. You get twice as many engraved circuits for an equivalent number of americium doped wafers, and it only costs approximately 25% more lanthanum hexaboride. So it is pretty pricey, because the lanthanum is pretty hard to get, actually. But I think it's well worth it. One final note is that for this recipe, the crystal sock, there are 2 ways to craft this. So one is the one that I'm highlighting here that uses exquisite cerium-doped lutetium aluminium garnet, or CeLuAG. And then there's another that engraves one of the previous tiers of crystal chips. This one is better, and there is a questline about it, so maybe I'll look at this when we're done here. But for now, all the patterns have been encoded, and I need to make tier 3 blank masks. These are actually not that hard. It's not even that big of a step up from the tier 2. So I need these etched masks, sodium, chrome, gold, hydrogen, that's whatever, but etched masks. And these need processed mask substrates, which you've seen before, and reactive ion etching mixture. That sounds complex, but it's not. It's just oxygen and fluoroform, and fluoroform is chloroform plus hydrofluoric acid. So as a test run, let's make some QPIC wafers. So to make the CeLuAG, it is a multi-step process. It's not too long, but let me explain each step. The first step is to make cerium-doped lutetium aluminium oxygen blend dust. This is as simple as using a UV mixer, using cerium dust, lutetium dust, and alumina dust. Very simple. needs UV. With this dust, I can make cerium-doped lutetium aluminium garnet, and I only need to make one to get started. This is a little bit like the raw crystal chips, where after I make one in the shitty way, I can kind of duplicate it to make more easily. With a 5.14% chance, for some reason, I can use molten lutetium and the cerium-doped dust in a UV autoclave. And once I have my hands on this garnet, I can quite easily make exquisite cerium-doped lutetium aluminium garnet. This is done using molten blah 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 blend, which is the mixer recipe, along with CeLuAG dust. And this I can make by macerating my first garnet. So I get my first garnet, I macerate it, it gives me a dust. That I turn into an exquisite garnet, and then that I can macerate again, but I get 4 dust. So every step of the way, I can essentially quadruple my input. So it's quite similar to my raw crystal chip parts being turned into raw crystal chips. There is another recipe, or a couple of recipes actually, that use some noble gases, including one that uses oganesson, to give you more exquisite gems. I haven't actually verified that this is more efficient than the other method, but I don't want to be using this stuff, so I will not be using this autoclave method. At least not for now. Maybe one day in the future when I have plenty of oganesson, if that ever happens, then maybe I'll come back and look at this, but for now the vacuum furnace seems fine. So it's another Utupu Tanuri, so it's the same multi-block as the dehydrator, but it's in vacuum furnace mode. I need electrum flux coils and UHV energy hatch. Or, 2 UV energy hatches, which is probably what I'm going to do for now. So cool, let's get these quests done. Before we continue, I want to address something that I've been getting comments about for a few episodes now. This employee really wants us to have steel balls. And as you all know, I do have balls of steel. They're right here. Amazing. Now, back to the task at hand. Time to make a vacuum furnace with electrum flux coils and 2 UV energy hatches. Alright, here is the vacuum furnace. I don't think I'm going to automate it yet because I don't think I'm going to be using these crystal chips that soon. I could be wrong. Yeah, I could be wrong. But yeah, I'll deal with this some other time. For now, I just want to make my first batch to finish the quest. So as a reminder, I take my initial garnet, macerate it, and then this dust goes into the input bus along with molten cerium-doped lutetium aluminium oxygen blend. That's a lot of words. And this is a UHV recipe, but luckily it only takes about 2 seconds. And that gets us our first exquisite cerium-doped lutetium aluminium garnet. And this goes back into the macerator. And now we have 4. And then these get turned into exquisite gems. And then these get macerated again. Now there's 16, and you get the idea. For the quest, I need to use 100 because that is the size of the mask. I can do 100 uses of the mask, so my batch size here is 100. So I'm just going to manually grind out 100, get this quest done, and move on to the next thing. Now, for what I want to work on next. I want to make Kevlar plates. And there are 2 ways to do this. The first is the Kevlar B. This produces Kevlar nuggets, which can be turned into Kevlar. Wow. I will not be doing that. I will instead be doing it the correct way, the only acceptable way, honestly. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is what Dream Master had in mind when Kevlar was approved to be added into the game. So I will be doing the entire Kevlar line, but not today. I need to plan, I need to make a new building, I need to make a flowchart. That's going to take some time. And then maybe we can all understand together why nobody does this and why everyone just uses the B. We'll see. Thank you for watching this episode of the HamCorp Training Manual. In the next episode, Kevlar. This is further evidence that I have balls of steel. Also, have you made your submission for the Fat Fills contest? We are looking for a new employee of the month, and time is almost up. See you next time.